Sorry, I left the meeting.
Never mind. You beat me to when I was looking
I
at the
did,
timer.
but you want me to?
We're already streaming too.
It says I'm. Yeah, I just want to close that window.
Only 5 people.
There we go.
Mike, does she let me know if it needs to go up more? Because I think I can turn it up higher from the back too.
Can you hear okay?
Can you hear okay? Good.
Yeah.
Okay, Supervisor, I think we're all set.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call regular town board meeting number 17 to order and ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilman Madigan,
Here.
Councilwoman Bainey,
Here.
Councilman Marston,
Here.
Councilman Tagati,
Here.
Supervisor Whitney.
Here. Tonight, the invocation was going to be given by Island Presbyterian, United Presbyterian Church. I don't think anyone is here representing them, so I'm going to ask Councilwoman Bainey to do that, and the pledge will be read by Councilman Tom Tagati. Please rise.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this day, this chance to gather. We thank you that so many residents are here with us to share their visions, their beliefs, their thoughts, and we thank you for their participation in government. We thank you that students are back participating as well. We pray that in all that we do what is wise and right in your eyes. We pray you give us wisdom and guidance as we make decisions to serve this town well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That brings us to the portion of the meeting that is set aside for public comments on agenda items only. And tonight, we're going to break this out into two specific things because the first thing we want to do in light of allowing the news rooms to clear out is address the cannabis issue, which is item number 10 from under our town attorney, Peter Godfrey. So if you want to speak, I'd appreciate you to come to the microphone in the front of the room, state your name. You do not have to give us your address, and let's hold the comments to 3 minutes or less, please. Peter, would you please introduce that topic?
Sure. The topic on the agenda relates to the question of whether the town of Grand Island should opt out of the New York state law, which will allow adult use cannabis retail dispensaries or on-site consumption licenses. The town has until the end of 2021 to do that. A local law to do that would be subject to permissive referendum for a 45-day period. So it would have to be enacted sometime in advance of that. What's not at issue is the use of marijuana. That's an area which is regulated by the state. It's solely with respect to the issuance of these types of licenses. If the town opts out of issuance of those licenses, it can opt back in the future. Even if the town does not opt out, it can still enact reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions on the use of marijuana in the town of Grand Island. So that's the item on which the town is deliberating and on which public comment is welcome.
At this time,
Just because of the way you worded the last part, it's not the use, it's really distribution. And if there's locations where, think in terms of a bar, where consumption is allowed. So those are the two main issues before us. And whether zoning, et cetera. So.
is there anyone wishing to speak on that matter? Please come forward, state your name, and you do not have to give us your address, but please hold the comments to 3 minutes or less. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Sandra Englert. Last month, I reached out to the town board members to request discussion regarding this opt-out provision of this law. And it's because of that contact with the town board members that we're discussing this tonight. It had not been on a previous town board or town workshop agenda. As Mr. Godfrey pointed out, the law has a provision which allows towns to opt out of licensing, sale, public sale, and on-site use of cannabis products by enacting such a law by December 31st. The unique aspect of this is The opt-out is essentially no risk because that municipality can change its mind at any time subsequently and choose to allow and license such activities within the town. Conversely, to not opt out is permanent according to this law. The town cannot make a decision at a later date to enact an opt-out law. So this is a very
After
important.
December 31st, correct.
After December 31st. So this is a very important issue that needs to be addressed. I personally favor an opt-out based on my concerns for the public health and safety of our community. I am very aware that many people in this community will have a differing viewpoint. But I believe it is the duty of the board to allow ample and open opportunity for all the town's citizens to provide input on this issue. I believe it's subsequently the duty of the board, and I think this should include opportunity for formal written comment. I believe it's the subsequent duty of the board members to deliberate carefully on this input and to make a sound decision that is representative of the constituency. Based on the very short amount of time between now and that December 31st deadline, I strongly urge the board members to enact an opt-out law at this time. And that will allow adequate opportunity to provide for citizen input, to, again, analyze that citizen input and to make this very important decision. This is a decision which will affect our town for, permanently, essentially. And there have been so many issues that I've been involved in, many of us have been involved in recently, surrounding the town where we didn't have the power or the control. Ultimately, we may have felt one way or another, but the power was with the state, with another level of government. Here, the state, within this law and this provision, has given our town a golden opportunity to decide how this law will affect our municipality. And I suggest that we do not squander that opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on the cannabis issue?
Hello, my name is Nikki Lawley, and I'm a medical cannabis patient. The opt-in provision allows access for medical patients to actually consume and purchase cannabis locally. For me, cannabis saved my life. I suffered a traumatic brain injury, and without cannabis, I would not be here to even talk to the town. We can educate and actually make a huge difference by opting in, and we can create an environment for people such as myself to actually consume and educate others on the benefits of plant medicine. I just ask the town to please consider consumption and retail because it's really needed for our medical community patients. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on the cannabis issue?
Hi, Rose Bugman, and I really didn't have any opinion when I came in.
Speak
but-
up, please, Rose.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have any opinion when I walked in the door, but listening to Spally, I realized I have several family members who are surviving life because they do have cannabis available to them. So that has to be considered. There are bars all over town. And people drink alcohol, which I think is sometimes much more harmful to the body than marijuana. And it is legal in the state. So in light of people who really and truly need this to survive, I think that it's something that should be pondered seriously.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Please come forward.
So I worked at a,
Please state your name.
Alex Schuster.
Thank you.
So I worked at a dispensary in Massachusetts up until recently, and we saw about $15,000 a day coming through. And so at 4% going to the town, I think that would benefit greatly. And as she was saying, a lot of people depend on it. And the laws in Massachusetts are typically like, think of a liquor law, right, where it's not public consumption. And, I would like to see that kind of money come into the town and the people who need to get to it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on the cannabis issue? All right, thank you. At this point, I'm going to open the discussion up to any item that is on the town board agenda this evening, aside from the public hearing. The public hearing will be held next, so which is with respect to the application for the bed and breakfast on Amberwood Drive. So if anyone has any other issues would like to speak, public comments on any of the items on the town board agenda, please come forward, state your name. For the second time, is there anyone else?
Careful, Rose.
Stroke messes you up, messes up my hearing, seeing too. So if you bear with my vision, I'm a little on the slow side. I noticed that the application for sheep is on the agenda. And I know, that from Sandy.
It's just to set a public hearing.
Hmm?
That we're just going to set a public hearing.
Oh, is that on this?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Sheep.
No, Mr. Whitney was just telling you that we're going to set a public hearing when we get to that point.
On
There'll
the
be
sheet.
another
That's
separate-
all we're doing with respect
that
to it
issue.
tonight.
But feel free to
Yeah.
speak on the
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah,
Okay, the place on Bedell that
Correct.
has 9 sheep there and a dog. A sheep needs 1 to 10 gallons of water a day, times 9 plus a dog. And just the weeds that are growing in there is not enough nutrition for them. Now, they say there's a creek going through there, but there really isn't. There's a couple ditches that fill up with rainwater. So what I would like to see is someone have to oversee that there are, must be concrete drinking vats that are constantly kept full, that the sheep are treated humanely as well as the dog. I don't see where there's so much grass growing there that it's going to eternally feed these sheep. So there's got to be someone has to really research what they need and make sure that those animals are
a
treated
shelter and treated
humanely.
humanely. I understand.
Right,
I agree.
okay.
Thank you.
Mhm. Oh, chickens.
Share similar concerns on that one.
No, the only thing I have on the chickens is I was wondering if anyone had gotten to a point where they determine what proper disposal of their waste.
No,
will
you
be.
asked that question before and I don't
Yeah,
have
I
an answer.
did.
We did-
Mm.
I
did
just
have-
haven't heard anything.
We did have continued dialogue as a board. It's something we're talking through. We brought your concern, and as we continue working through that portion of the law, we'll dialogue, but
Right.
the proper would be composting or utilizing mixed into the soil.
Not everybody does.
And I actually don't think that's on the agenda tonight. So
No, that part, the chicken law is not. on
I think
the
it's
agenda.
unfinished.
It's a special use permit application.
There's
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially- okay.
But we took your comments into consideration, which is
Okay.
what you're
Thanks,
getting at.
Rose.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe it isn't. It's not, just
Okay.
the special use permit. Okay.
We're going to pause for a second so the news people can
escape.
escape. Thank you very much.
Just to clarify, no vote for a while yet. You have until the end of the month or the end of the year to decide, correct?
Well, I think we have to decide by the middle of November because there's a 45-day permissive referendum. We can opt, if we do not opt out by the end of the year, we cannot opt out after January 1 of next year.
Okay. So
We can opt back in at any time,
Correct.
but we cannot opt out if we do not do it before the end of the year.
Right. So sometime-
Kind of a funny,
Okay, thank you very much.
you're welcome. Thank you, Ryan. Watch yourself there, Mike. He's coming by.
Get the other arm.
All right, thank you. Thanks for putting up with us.
Okay, that brings us to the public hearing on the special use permit application for Matthew and Cherish Beals, 121 Amberwood Drive for the bed and breakfast. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter, please come forward, state your name, and please keep the comments to 3 minutes or less.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
We can.
My name is Michael Murphy, and I'm here on behalf of the Park Place Historic District Block Club in Niagara Falls. For those of you who don't know, it's a cluster of historic homes, 3 blocks. It has national, state, and local historic designation. I know Matt and Cherish as they own one of the houses in the community and operate it as a business. They are very, very good stewards of their home there. They take very good care of it. They're very involved in the neighborhood. They routinely host, like we had Porch Fest over the weekend, so they had a big band on their porch there. For those who don't experience a bed and breakfast type atmosphere, these guys will be living in the home with their guest visiting. And people who typically use a bed and breakfast or short-term rental experience seem to be a little bit different than the traveling hockey teams and, you know, the bachelor and bachelorette parties that come just to trash a house. So I don't see that, although I don't live in your county, I don't see that this would be an issue. In the Park Place District, my personal home is surrounded by 3 short-term rentals. And I, in 13 years, have never had to call the police on a short-term rental. Our responsible operators is what they're called, such as Matt and Cherish. They make themselves available to the neighbors. If there is a complaint, you call them directly. And I just think that it really builds a sense of community. I sit out on my porch a lot and speak to the different people from all over the world. Most of them for the last year and a half have been fairly local because of COVID. But it is definitely a good thing for the community. I understand there's some concerns about traffic on the street and, you know, people driving too fast. Well, that's going to happen anywhere. I mean, that's a police matter. That's not a host situation. So I do hope that you guys vote in favor of their application. Again, they're very good stewards of a historic home. These guys will be operating this out of their personal home where they will live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Please come forward, state your name.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Linda Harbison. My husband John and I live at 130 Amberwood Drive, which is just 2 houses away from the Beals at 121 Amberwood, the location of the proposed bed and breakfast. Back in 1967, my husband John and I were looking for a special wooded lot where we could build a home and raise our family. Ultimately, we purchased 35 acres on Grand Island. But rather than building just a single home for ourselves, we built a subdivision, which today includes both Amberwood Drive and Autumnwood Drive and has 53 homes. We made all the decisions for the design and layout of the neighborhood, lot sizes, streetlights, underground utilities, sidewalks, final approval of home designs, including writing deed restrictions, which were designed to help maintain the character and quality of the neighborhood over time, as well as preserve and protect the natural wooded land that we originally purchased. John even designed and/or built approximately half of the homes on Amberwood. Our goal was to create a quiet, secluded neighborhood of single-family residences laid out with cul-de-sacs to minimize traffic and sidewalks to make it easier for children. Today, people of all ages, including people from surrounding neighborhoods, seek out Amberwood as a quiet, partly shaded place to walk or bike on both the street and sidewalks. John and I may have set the initial framework for the neighborhood, but it's all of the residents' shared sense of values and pride in the character of our neighborhood that keeps it alive. After 53 years, Amberwood still has several of its original residents, including multiple second and third generation residents. And one of those original families has a 4th generation there too. We've enjoyed raising our family here, and we have made lifelong friendships with our neighbors. We like the Beals very much, and we consider them our friends. We've enjoyed, my vote is to preserve the character of the single-family resident neighborhood that we've worked hard to create. We feel that operating a bed and breakfast in our neighborhood would negatively change its character as well as create additional traffic, which would make it less safe for children and seniors. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm John Kackman, Kackman. I live on Autumnwood Drive, which is part of the subdivision. My wife and I have lived there for 40 years. We moved there specifically because of the nature of the subdivision. While I understand that this is being told that this is not a really big impact upon the area, I think it is. Because once we do one bed and breakfast, there can be another one. And I thought I heard that from the gentleman who talked about Niagara Falls, that now there's several bed and breakfasts around there. I don't know the Beals personally. I hope they understand what the residents are thinking about when we object. I do know that, and it can impact the value of my property. And then you multiply that by the 35 families that live in the neighborhood. That could be significant. I also have a question about why there was a limited number of people who were notified by the town that this was a possibility. My understanding was only 2 houses on either side. This is a unique subdivision. And I would expect that it would have been, the notification would have gone out to more people.
Did.
How?
It was mailed out.
No, it wasn't.
Our
No,
clerk did.
it was.
Yes.
I never received it.
There's all the names. These are all the names and addresses of where it was mailed.
Name, sir?
Yes.
I don't know how many.
There's from Huth Road to Amberwood, Huth Road, Amberwood. There weren't people on Autumnwood, were not included.
It's
on
within
that.
a radius. It's within a radius. It's within a radius.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
The dispatch is a legal paper for the town of Grand Island, folks. That's why we use the dispatch to publish
I understand.
our legal notices.
And the
So-
law prescribes who needs to be served.
But
the
obviously,
notices.
there's some upset people. I have to.
And that's why we're having a public hearing, so that you can voice your concerns.
I have to ask the Beals, will you be living still in that house?
Yes, I have.
How many bedrooms will you be renting out?
3.
3, that's about most of the house, isn't it?
No, I have a 5-bedroom home.
Oh. So how many other bed and breakfasts do you own?
I don't own any other. I own a vacation rental, which is a full home in Niagara Falls.
So you're thinking about this as a way that you'll develop a
Yeah, and
farm.
I have a whole thing. I'll speak in just a minute, give you a whole bunch of information. And I'm sorry I missed you with the letters. I walked around Amberwood and gave letters out to everybody I could.
I don't think,
I
well,
apologize. Are you on Autumnwood, you said?
I'm on order.
Well, let's one speaker at a
Yeah,
time,
let's-
please, and see, so they can use the microphone.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, John.
My name's John Harbison. We and my wife and I oppose this proposed commercial capacity as a bed and breakfast. We developed Amberwood in 1969 for residential purposes to create a safe setting for the families to live. Children and adults use the sidewalks and streets to walk and ride their bikes regularly. Our community is conscious of and awareness of and looks out for the safety of its members, especially for young children. Commercial traffic would be unaware of this, thereby having a negative impact on the safety of the members. Commercial activity, whether it be a bed and breakfast or Airbnb or other in a residential setting, would likely reduce the value of the existing properties in Amberwood. Commercial activities would increase unwanted traffic and public exposure, thereby diminishing the security of this secluded street. Young children and elderly could be more vulnerable at increased risk. I live on Amberwood Drive, and I've lived in this community for over 50 years and oppose commercial use of Amberwood Estates. My hope is that Amberwood Drive continues as a residential community into the future.
Thank you, Mr. Harbison.
My name is Jerdith Kackman, Kackmann. I reside on Autumnwood, and we are talking about a small 2-street residential family neighborhood. I simply don't see any reason to grant a permit to get around a zoning law. I can't help but wonder why this community was chosen for a bed and breakfast when there are many other areas on Grand Island where a special permit wouldn't be needed to run a bed and breakfast.
No, that's required.
Sorry?
It's required by the zoning law. Doesn't matter where.
So the same type of,
Same type of special use permit
Okay.
is required.
that seems a little strange to me, but I will accede to that. Partly or mostly, I don't see how this could possibly enhance our community. How would granting the permit be beneficial to any other family but one when we have over 60 families there who could possibly be negatively affected? Other people have talked about increased traffic and possible parking issues. I guess that's an obvious thing. And of course, we do wonder about property values, especially of the adjacent and nearby homes, but all of us in general, I suppose. And I worry that the possibility that granting this permit would open the door to other businesses or other bed and breakfasts, as was mentioned, people who suddenly decide they'd like to open up and run something from their home. Overall, granting permit so bed and breakfast could be established on our small 2-street residential community seems detrimental to me, to the community as a whole. And I would ask the board members not to grant the permit for a bed and breakfast at 121 Amberwood Drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening, everybody. My name is James Cook. I'm son of Cherish Beals and stepson of Matt Beals. I wanted to speak today on the permit issue, obviously. She's currently trying to open the bed and breakfast at our home here. And the main complaints are an increase in traffic, strangers going in and out, excessive noise, and the matter of raising children in that neighborhood with a bed and breakfast. I believe these are all valid points, but none of these complaints have been brought up till now. We as a neighborhood have always respected each other and let one another enjoy themselves via parties and social gatherings. There have been countless times of all these examples occurring, but as I said, we allowed it and understood it. My parents and I had several people over and never received a complaint. All cars are parked properly, noise is maintained, and only trusted individuals are allowed over. I clearly have a fear of public speaking, so bear with me. Never receiving play, all cars are parked properly, noise is maintained, and only trusted individuals are allowed over. But now when the most caring and loving person I know asks to have a bed and breakfast, suddenly all of that changes. I know I'm biased in this matter, but I believe the majority also thinks the same about my mother. I know the people that truly know my mother and the kind of person she is will understand why she is doing this. She will always respect you and never let anything truly hurt the neighborhood. I may be pulling at heartstrings right now, but my mother wept over how she made you all feel. She wants the best for you and does not want to change the neighborhood. My mother is unable to work currently due to a wrist injury. She can't type and isn't sure if she'll be able to go back to her job. This is why she's looking for alternative ways to earn money. She currently owns an Airbnb that is across from the bed and breakfast in Niagara Falls. With the experience of already owning one, she will go above and beyond in vetting guests and enforcing the rules, as she does with her current property. Also, the majority of guests will most likely be older, matured, already better than what we're currently experiencing. Go for a drive and visit her Airbnb. I promise you'll see how vibrant it is. The address is 741 Park Place, Niagara Falls. In closing, no matter what happens, your decision will be respected, but please take some time to recognize all the positive things this could bring to the neighborhood and how the negatives have been tolerated up to this point. Also, she's my mother and deserves the world. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dan Craig and my wife Jamie. We own the Butler House Bed and Breakfast 2 doors from Cherish in the Park Place Historic District. And known her since we've moved into the place. She bought shortly after us. We talk all the time. We have each other's phone numbers. We design our backyards together. We have a wonderful community. And for people who think you reduce the value of your property, the business value of the.
Sir, would you
Butler
please
House-
speak in the microphone because
Oh,
this is
sorry.
being recorded and we have people online watching.
The business value of the Butler House is greater than the residential value. In every house that we restore, it's the business value that's greater than the residential value. So I'd argue we're bringing the value up in Niagara Falls and the businesses that we're running. We're on The Price is Right twice this year. We host over 120 guests. Every customer is family to us and they're special. And I know Cherish would do exactly the same thing. It's unlike a short-term rental. We spend every day outside. We know our neighbors. We talk to them every day because we have to run a house. So I just wanted to make myself accessible. And Jamie, if you have any questions afterwards, we can give you what our experience is running a bed and breakfast. Thank you.
And sorry, just to clarify, did you say you have a bed and breakfast here or is it? off
In
the-
Niagara Falls,
Niagara
in the Park
Falls.
Place
Got
Historic
it.
District,
Just
with
double
their
checking.
Butler House Bed and Breakfast.
Got it.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, Larry Fetzer. I'm from 106 Amberwood, across the street from the Beals. I guess I would just like to reiterate some things that Linda Harbison said. Many of us who moved to the neighborhood moved there because we were looking for a quiet, safe, secure neighborhood in which to raise our families. And while I know and appreciate the Beals and their responsible ownership, I don't think that the creation of a bed and breakfast on the street actually moves it in that direction of maintaining that character of the neighborhood. But I do have one question. This special use permit, is this special use permit simply granted to Matt and Cherish, or is it to the property? I guess my question is, if they were to sell the property, does it move along with them or does it terminate?
But it has to be licensed and renewed every
The,
couple of
yeah,
years.
the special use permit typically runs with the property, but it does have to be inspected and renewed on an annual basis.
So if they do sell their
Every 2 years,
home,
I'm sorry.
if they sell their home to somebody, they would still have access to the bed and breakfast permit?
So if they were to sell it, because the permit has to be renewed periodically and inspected periodically, a purchaser would have to come in and apply at the next renewals opportunity. I think these are annual, if I recall correctly.
He said they're
Yeah.
biannual.
So the longest. it
They're
could-
annual?
Yes.
Okay. That's what
Okay,
I
but
thought.
at the time of sale, it could be in effect.
It typically runs with the property, but there are requirements for individual operators to register themselves. So there's certain things that would need to be done by a purchaser of property. And obviously would have to be renewed by the operators.
Okay, so if sorry for trying to.
They
clarify.
have to be owner occupied too.
They would have to be owner occupied, but it could transfer along with the sale of the property, but would require a subsequent renewal.
Correct. It will require a renewal even if the Beals maintain ownership.
Correct. I'm just concerned about.
I understand.
The sale of property, who it might go to.
I'm just trying to explain.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Nick Valen. Allowing a bed and breakfast in Amberwood Drive would set an undesirable precedent by commercializing our neighborhood, disrupting the very peace and tranquility we all sought when we moved here. Accordingly, we circulated a petition against application for special permit to over 40 homes in the development. This resulted in an overwhelming majority of signatures in opposition to the permit. And I have the petition here. If you'd like me to.
We can leave it with the clerk, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Jim Ani. I live at 41 Autumnwood Drive. And as many of the people on Amberwood and Autumnwood have spoken already, I'm against this. We signed the petition last Friday night. We learned about this last Tuesday night when we were walking the neighborhood and talking to neighbors. And this is the type of neighborhood it is, where you're walking your dog, you're seeing your neighbors, you're talking. And again, I was notified. I'm right at the first, as you come in, the stop sign, you turn left. My house is the first one to the left. I received no notification from Grand Island itself. So the notifications must have stopped at Amberwood.
There's a distance requirement.
Okay, but again, that's the type of neighborhood we have. We're walking and I learned of this. So again, I want to just be on the record that I'm against this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jared Randall. I'm at 98 Amberwood Drive. Had an opportunity to talk to Cherish. She walked the neighborhood to explain this to the neighbors. Me and my family, we're not real big fans of telling people what they can and can't do with their property. But we thought it over very seriously, discussed it with other neighbors. We are also in opposition to this. Our reasoning is, like this board. This board exists to protect, in my opinion, protect the community of Grand Island. Part of that community is our neighborhood and is a neighbors in the Amberwood Autumnwood community. It's a very small neighborhood, as you've heard from our neighbors. All of us in the neighborhood have the same concern. We might have different opinions on how that's done. We have the same concern to protect our neighborhood, which is part of the Grand Island community. So. It's a neighborhood that is small. It's got a particular characteristic, and that's it's a neighborhood where people really come. I know as a young family, we came to raise a family. We're a second generation family in the neighborhood. You've heard from many first generation families and also second generation families. And it's the type of place where I'm raising kids now where they're looking and they're buying houses in neighborhoods. And I can tell you honestly, from my perspective, from me and my wife, when we were looking for a place to raise a family, and from people, younger kids that I know that are looking for places to raise a family now, that it would be a serious concern, probably a deterrent if there was some sort of commercial-like business in that small neighborhood, commingled with residential homes. It's a serious concern. It's a neighborhood. It would change kind of the demographics and the nature of the neighborhood, which is, something we thought long and hard about it. And that's kind of what we're hung up on it would really change the nature of a very special neighborhood. So that's why we stand opposed to this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Tom DeMartin, 101 Amberwood.
You don't have to give us your address.
It's relevant.
Fine.
I believe in that I got a letter and the person across the street from me didn't about this.
Like I said, it's a
again,
distance requirement. And when
just to
the
let
line hits, it's, I didn't get a letter either.
I hear you. Grew up on Grand Island, marvelous neighbors. My wife grew up in the Falls residential neighborhood, marvelous neighbors. 22 years ago, we decided we were going to settle on the island, and we're looking for that perfect combination of quiet neighborhood, neighborhood where we would know all of our neighbors. And we found it on a beautiful cul-de-sac that was established as the Harbisons described. One means of egress into our subdivision. About 20 houses just on Amberwood, but also, again, we consider the neighborhood back into Autumnwood also. Cul-de-sac, typical benefits. Everyone who lives there was looking for was not low traffic. People basically who live there going to their homes. Also the closeness, proximity of houses to each other, which lends itself to knowing your neighbors well and having a neighborly activity. And the third thing is peace and quiet that a cul-de-sac would lend itself to. Each of those could be compromised negatively by adding basically what they're asking with 3 bedrooms to rent, turning a 1-family residence into a 4-family residence in a zoned single-family residential neighborhood. As Jared just said, it would turn the character of the neighborhood from a quiet cul-de-sac into possibly, again, a commercial enterprise. I don't think there's any doubt they're in it. They're good people. They're good people. But as you've heard, they run a business in Niagara Falls. I look at it that they're expanding their business enterprise. Smack in the middle of a tight physical proximity neighborhood. Their home is bounded on each side and along the back with Hughes Road neighbors encroaching. Children in the back, just the neighborhood of about 20 houses, not including Autumnwood. There's at least 20 kids, high school age or younger, in there who play in the street, ride bikes on the sidewalk, know all their neighbors. It just does not make sense to me to take a single family
We're running out of time.
residence from a single family to basically a 4-family.
Thank you.
Right in the circle where they live, if you take the 3 or 4
We're
houses.
we're over 3 minutes, sir.
3 or 4 houses, guests would
Please
be
wrap it
over
up.
50 or 60% of the people living in that circle.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Hi, my name is Monica Osadkowski. I live at 125 Amberwood, directly middle center, direct neighbor to Matt and Cherish Beals. I'm going to first speak on my own, and then I have a letter from another neighbor who could not be here this evening. So I'll try to keep my
That can be
statement
just
brief.
Turned in. So
Okay.
we can turn
So,
that in. I have several letters as well.
Okay.
That will be entered into the record.
Is it okay to read out?
Sure.
Okay. For my own statement, my own concerns, since I've been living in Amberwood since 2004, I never imagined if someone were to come and tell me at that time that there would be a B&B in my neighborhood. That does not sound appealing to me. I probably would have turned away, to be honest. That's not where I would want my family to be around. Being right in the middle of a cul-de-sac, we frequently see young children playing around, and it's really, really nice to see that, and they're moving around freely. But I can imagine that parents are going to have their guard up As well as myself, I have a grandson now who comes over and plays all the time at my home. So it is a concern, and that's why I am opposing the permit of special use for 121. And now I'm going to read the letter from Gary Violanti. So it says, "Gentlemen, my name is Gary Violanti and I reside at 122 Amberwood Drive. I now own this house, which is the one I grew up in and that my parents built in 1970. My home is situated directly across the street from 121 Amberwood Drive. Having received your notification of September 10th, 2021 regarding a public hearing to be held Monday, September 20th, and find myself unable to attend, I'm writing to you today to express my unequivocal opposition to the granting of a permit for special use, allowing the operation of a bed and breakfast at 121 Amberwood Drive. I consider Amberwood Drive to be an island gem. The special character of this cul-de-sac creates an intimate and peaceful haven, which my family has enjoyed for over 50 years. It is my belief that allowing such a business to operate with this type of residential area would destroy the atmosphere. The various issues a B&B would bring with it is such additional traffic, parking, noise, as well as security concerns would compromise this unique environment. The applicants claim to have considered these issues and contend that they plan to take mitigating action. I have no reason to doubt their sincerity. However, even with the best of intentions, that things often do not go as planned. At risk here is that the special character of the neighborhood we know and love. This would be devastating and unacceptable to me as well as other residents, old and new. It is for this reason that, and unacceptable to me as well as others, that I earnestly urge you to reject the application for a permit of special use for 121 Amberwood Drive. Thank you for your consideration in this matter."
Thank you. I have a copy of that letter already, so that is already going to be entered into the record.
Good evening. My name is Walter Osakowski. I live at 125, right next door to where the B&B is proposed to be. I just want to express how when we moved into the neighborhood in 2004, we did it for a safe neighborhood to raise our family. With, the B&B next door, potentially 3 different cars coming each day. I mean, that's added traffic. I'm really concerned over the safety of the kids. Certain time of day, you cannot see down that street. If you're not familiar, you're putting them kids at risk. So I'm concerned from that standpoint. Sharing the driveway, I'm concerned about losing my privacy. Strangers constantly there. My garage is open. I'm concerned about that. Concerned about safety, the family there. So, like I said, I oppose it. And so it goes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Mark Guzzi, and I just wanted to be on record as opposing it as well. I share the same concerns and objections as the rest of the folks here. I mean, I don't know the Beals, have nothing personally against them. In general, I'm pro-business, especially small business for the most part, but this is completely not the right area for this particular project. And just to add regarding the letters, I only received mine on Saturday, so I haven't had much time to look into it further. I'm kind of curious how many B&Bs are on the island. I don't know if the board knows off the top of their mind or whatnot.
There are several. I do not know the exact number. I think we could probably.
I think there's like 7 or 8. I believe 7 or 8.
Okay, well.
Are any in a similar neighborhood to the character of?
Well, I know there's one on North Colony Road. It's a very quiet street. I used to live on it.
Rivers. I think a lot of them are on the river.
I think a lot of them are.
Yeah,
There's one right by the South Bridge. I know
And
that.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to get at. Even the one on North Colony, I believe is a stone's throw from a restaurant.
Correct.
I believe 2 restaurants within.
Exactly. It's right on the
Within
corner.
walking distance.
You are correct.
You know, and the other 2 that I'm aware of are right on the water. Completely different, you know, character and surroundings. I just, like I said, I'm opposed to it.
There's one on Whitehaven Road that's out by Second Avenue,
Yeah.
Second Street rather. So,
Just think it's the wrong area.
yeah, understood.
Thank you.
And I don't know if Patricia Moore is
We
on
have- we
as
have
well.
her.
Okay,
We'll
you're
do-
good.
We
Okay.
do the.
We
Great.
do the in-house people first, and then when you go to the online.
All right, so my neighbor Lynn Kelly couldn't be here tonight and asked
And
that
your
I
name,
read this
please.
in.
Your name,
I'm
please.
sorry, my name is Cherish Beals, the applicant.
Thank you.
So I'm going to read the letter Lynn Kelly asked to read, and then I'll read mine if that's okay. She said, "I'm very sorry I cannot attend tonight's meeting, as I think my message may have been more impactful in person. As a lifetime resident of Amberwood Drive, I too hold the unique personality of our neighborhood in very high esteem. I will be honest, when I initially heard of Matt and Cherish's plans to turn their home into a bed and breakfast, my first thought was, okay, but not in my neighborhood. I was raised here, brought up my 2 children here, and my grandchildren may grow up here. I don't want strangers in my neighborhood. But then I realized we have strangers in our neighborhood all the time. Your guest, my neighbor's guest, our kids' friends, teenagers to 30-somethings. None of the other strangers are or will have been vetted like Matt and Cherish's guest will be. But then I listened to my friends, the Beals, and to 2 people who I know do not take any decision lightly. They called this neighborhood home. To them as a couple, as parents, as grandparents, and also as loving, respectful neighbors, I listened. As a neighbor who isn't really for this. What I heard in response were thoughtful and respectful answers to my concerns, obvious insight into what would matter to them if it was someone else looking to do this, and ultimately, how can I respect the culture of this wonderful neighborhood, which also exploring a desire to be host to others. Trust me when I say I get it, but also trust me when I say I wouldn't trust anyone else to be as conscious and concerned about making this positive impact on our neighborhood and town, but also as open and responsive to your questions and concerns as you could wish anyone to be. In conclusion, I'm in full support of the Beals' efforts. Lynn
And
Kelly,
so-
126 Amberwood.
Sorry, what was the name on that?
Lynn, I have a
Lynn
copy of the letter, Mike.
Kelly.
It's going to be on her.
Oh, she did email. Okay. She couldn't find the address, so she said to read it. Sorry about that.
We got it, no problem.
Okay.
It's fine.
Thank you. All right, so my statement. So like I said, my name is Cherish Beals. I'm the owner and applicant for 121 Amberwood Drive special use permit. It's been a dream of mine to own and run a bed and breakfast since I first started working in the hospitality industry back in the mid 1990s. I worked for Ritz-Carlton, and the wallet card that they gave to me and every employee sits in my desk, and I still carry it with me today. Because at the end of the day, service is in the core of who I am. And I think all my neighbors would agree with that know me. In March of 2020, I took one step closer to making that dream come true when I purchased the Ambassador House in Niagara Falls, which I run as a full short-term rental. My husband and I have enjoyed operating it over the last year, and I'm pleased to say that within the first 3 months, we met the criteria to be Superhost on Airbnb, and we maintain it with an overall rating of 4.95 stars after 66 reviews. I also joined the board and became vice president of the Niagara Falls Tourist Home Association in an effort to be involved in the local community and to support tourism and being an ambassador to Niagara Falls. I have some amazing neighbors and love the Park Place Historic District where my vacation rental home is located. As mentioned, just this past Saturday, we had Porch Fest, had 10 different bands playing on the porches in our neighborhood, including mine. It was an effort to bring the neighbors and the community together. It looks like I've brought this neighborhood together too tonight. I love my Grand Island neighbors. I moved there in 2007. On multiple years, I've hosted the annual Christmas party that the neighbors all get together. We all know each other and we all love each other. My plan and hope is it's the house that I live in now, which is the one I've ever lived in the longest for my whole life, is that I die in that home. I don't want to have to move out of that home. If I can't make income in my current job, I want options to be able to stay in my home because I don't want to leave the neighborhood either. So when I decided to apply for a special permit, I asked about the process and was under the impression that only once the planning board approved would the public hearing be held and notices be sent. I was told that I'd be on the agenda for the September 13th planning board meeting. If I received their approval, I then planned on meeting with my neighbors prior to the public hearing. Unfortunately, I was not on the agenda for that meeting, September 13th. And while I was sitting through it, waiting my turn, my husband sent me a picture of mail he just opened announcing that this public hearing was happening tonight. I was mortified because I had not spoken to my neighbors yet. So the very next day, I wrote a letter to all my neighbors and delivered it to all of them in person, as many as I could connect with, and tried to have conversations with all of them. And they shared their concerns with me, many of which you've heard tonight. I want to take a moment to address each of their concerns because it's important to me that I not only run a top-notch bed and breakfast, but that I also have a positive impact on our neighborhood. There's 3 concerns. Concern 1, children at play. I completely appreciate concerns about children who play outside, including in the street of our cul-de-sac. My 3- and 5-year-old granddaughters play there as well. I would not want anything to happen to them, of course, either. Guests I'm hosting will receive check-in instructions prior to their arrival. I will include in those instructions a request to please be conscientious and respectful when coming or going into the neighborhood where the speed limit is 15 miles an hour and children are often at play. That's something that can't be done for other non-residential traffic, such as pizza or grocery delivery drivers, or my son's millions of friends that come and visit and spend the night because it's the hangout for them, the 25-year-olds. Property value impacts and businesses in the neighborhood, that was concerned too. Data on this is very clear and it's very easy to get to. Vacation rentals and bed and breakfast increase property values in the neighborhoods where they're located. This is because investment into the property and improvements, including regular maintenance, are critical to the success and future of the business. As to running a commercial business in a neighborhood, to my understanding, several neighbors, I think even John Harbison himself, have had home offices in their house where they have folks come and go for business needs. That increases traffic. It generates commercial income for them. To my knowledge, there's no permit required to have a home office of that nature. And the last and biggest concern I think that we've heard repeatedly tonight, it will change the character of the neighborhood. Neighbors were concerned that if I opened one, other neighbors on the street may decide to as well. And the families with children will no longer make up the majority of the neighborhood. Every neighbor that I spoke with expressed this concern, and I think you've heard it over and over tonight. So the realistic likelihood of even one more home on our street becoming a bed and breakfast is probably slim to none. None of them want it. It's a beautiful street. And except for, a sign, which is going to be back by my front door, not even visible from the street, nobody's going to know that it's a bed and breakfast. There are currently 8 bed and breakfasts on Grand Island. And there are close to 8,000 homes on Grand Island. So right now, bed and breakfasts make up 0.11%. If mine is approved, it's going to be 0.12%. I spoke to the zoning office today and asked if there had been complaints received for these existing bed and breakfast. There's not been a single complaint received there. From what I've read in the newspaper and paid attention on my research, there's not been any police calls or responses to any issues or incidents at the current bed and breakfast on the island. And as additional evidence, there's over 300 vacation rentals in Niagara Falls, and there has not been a single police complaint, code enforcement complaint. We foiled the city over a year ago, still haven't gotten responses in regards to that FOIL, and they have not provided any data showing that there are any complaints or issues with 300 of them. Well, I can most certainly appreciate the concerns and fears that my neighbors have shared with you tonight. I want to reassure them and you that the data does not substantiate their fears. I do believe that in order to deny a special use permit, when the town to date has not denied one, there would need to be evidence of health or safety concerns or some sort of data supporting why one would not be issued. And I'm happy to answer any questions that my neighbors have too, obviously. I've hosted many, many Christmas parties. You all know where to find me. And I love you all. No matter what.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this?
My name's Laura Rizzuto. I live at 114 Amberwood Drive across the street. I believe I'm actually the newest member of the street. I just moved in a couple months ago with my toddler daughter. So the reason I chose the development was because it was a very quiet area where I felt she could safely play and grow up. I saw the cul-de-sac there. I really liked it. I envisioned her playing wiffle ball with her friends there, like things I did when I was a kid. So according to the zoning map on the town's website, Amberwood Drive is classified as a single-family residential home. If I was aware that there would be a business that would bring in people from out of the neighborhood on a regular basis, I would have definitely looked elsewhere. When I did an internet search for bed and breakfasts in Grand Island, I know I was told there are about 8 or 9. The only ones that come up are on East River Road. To me, it's a very different area. There's no sidewalks. You do see bikers there. It's not safe. It's not safe for adult to ride their bike there, let alone children. I don't believe people purchase homes on East River Road for their children to be playing in the street and like going outside and playing with the neighbors. So it was suggested that the neighbors suggest no signage allowed in front of the business, which Cherish just mentioned there will be a sign. I personally don't want to look out of my house across the street at a sign for a business every day. And I don't believe, even if there isn't a sign, I don't believe it will fool anyone. You could do a simple Zillow search of the neighborhood. It shows every business in the overhead view that it's in the neighborhood. I definitely know because I looked for a long time for a house. I'm also concerned with tourists taking pictures. Say my daughter's outside playing and she's in the background with my address in the background. I really don't want her inadvertently on any social media. I'm not on any social media for a reason. Don't want pictures there. And I just don't want my daughter to be in the background of any pictures. I do know from a lot of the tourists on East River Road and having the hotel there, I frequently see them walking up and down the street with their huge cameras, taking pictures of people's property in the area. So I'm concerned with that. I also thought it was just a safe area that would attract other young families. However, now I fear it's going to deter families with young children from moving into the neighborhood. I asked many of my friends if they would move into the neighborhood, knowing that there was a bed and breakfast there, and they all didn't hesitate to say no. Today, when I was at work, I actually still get a lot of the Zillow like things when new homes go for sale, and one popped up on Park Place. And I was looking at it, and one of my coworkers walked by me and said, "Why are you looking at that house? Didn't you just move?" And I said, "Yes, but honestly, if a bed and breakfast opens across the street from me, I don't want my daughter, like I don't feel safe for her to be in the neighborhood anymore." So as members of the town council, I know all of you live in Grand Island, and I just have one question to ask you. Do you really want a bed and breakfast in your neighborhood? And if in your heart the answer is no, I would hope you don't force this on all of us. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Warner and I live at 50 Amberwood Drive. And tonight I want to share with you the reasons for my opposition for granting the permit for the bed and breakfast. It isn't personal against Matt and Cherish. We love them. It's not against bed and breakfasts. We frequent them. It's the location of it. Our neighborhood consists of 2 cul-de-sacs off of Heath Road. There's approximately 50 houses like mentioned, and those roads are only 0.2 miles long. We have a variety of families in our neighborhood, and these families have been there since the houses were built in the 70s, like the Harbisons, and the residents are now retirees who treat our kids like their own grandkids. And there are new families like mine of kids of all ages. My last count was about 25 school-age kids that are always running around our neighborhood. On any given day, you can see them at their friends' houses, playing in the yards, riding their bikes in the cul-de-sac, or even they've made the little island grass part of the cul-de-sac their island that they play on. Just last night, 2 of our older residents were walking down Amberwood with our newest neighbors, her toddler and their little toddler car, walking down the road in a very safe place. My opposition would violate 3 of the requirements that I looked up on the town code that would be needed to, that would be needed to, 3 requirements that are set in the code. One requirement is to protect the health, safety, and welfare and convenience of the neighborhood. A B&B is dependent on out-of-town business strangers spending the day and night in our neighborhood. These customers would be driving down our road that's unfamiliar to them, which is a big safety concern. The welfare and safety of all of our neighbors is threatened when unknown out-of-town customers are staying so close to our homes. Our homes are filled with some of Grand Island's most vulnerable and precious residents, children, special needs families, and our elder islanders. A B&B would endanger the health, safety, and welfare, and I do not want different strangers every week staying down the street from my family. Even if there are only 6 people staying a week, just in 1 month, that's about 20 strangers living on our residential street and having easy access to our neighborhood. Requirement 2 states that a B&B would not cause substantial injury to the value of a property in the neighborhood. I know Chair shared data, but I'm not sure where that data come from. If it's a suburb, or if it's a town, or if it's a city, I think that makes a big difference in the environment. As a mom of 3 kids, including one with special needs, I would never have chosen a house down the street from a bed and breakfast. I chose an established small residential neighborhood on a cul-de-sac, a secondary road with no through traffic as a safe place to raise my family. And I believe a B&B on that road would decrease the appeal for families who are looking to buy houses and therefore decrease our property value. Would a potential buyer choose a home with a B&B business down the street over a neighborhood that is completely residential? And requirement 3 states that the B&B should be compatible with adjoining development character and neighborhood which is located, which you've heard many different arguments for tonight. Once again, a business that depends on transient out-of-town neighbors spending the day and night in our neighborhood as a detriment to the character of Amberwood and Autumnwood is not compatible with our very family-friendly oriented residential neighborhood. So please consider the value and the safety of our neighborhood and its residents and vote no on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marga Pastro. I don't live in this neighborhood, but it's a family neighborhood. I wouldn't want a business next to my house. I wouldn't want to live next to a hotel in a residential area.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Patty Biscalia Hooper. I live at 85 Amberwood Drive. I'm the 3rd generation of my family to live in that house. My grandparents bought the house in 1976 to raise their, older kids. They were already in high school when they bought the house. My mom loved it so much. She was one of their kids that she and her husband, John and Pat Biscalia, bought the house. And I knew my whole life that that was going to be my house where I raised my daughter. My daughter is 5 years old. She's the 4th generation living on that street. We know every neighbor on the street and every neighbor knows that she is ours. We watch out for each other's kids. And the idea of a bed and breakfast on our street with strangers in our neighborhood makes me question whether I want to continue to raise my daughter there, which is heartbreaking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor, we have one person online, who wishes to speak. And we also have one person we inadvertently missed on cannabis. So I'm hoping you don't make them wait till the
No,
end, but
we
maybe they
won't.
can
We won't.
comment
We'll-
second.
Let's get through the public hearing.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right.
Okay, Patricia Moore, can you please unmute?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Patricia Moore, and I'm the Executive Director for Global Vacation Rental Association. And I want to thank the entire town and the council for agreeing to take my testimony. I am in favor of giving Cherish Beals a special use permit. Cherish and I have become work associates over the last year. Cherish has been very focused on improving the economy, not only here, but in other areas as well. I believe Cherish will be an outstanding B&B owner to visitors coming to Grand Island. In 2019, the Empire State Development stated that tourism is a $3 billion industry in this region, drawing from nearly 19 million visitors in 2017. Since the Welcome Center first opened in August 2018, more than 65,000 people have visited the Welcome Center, approximately 13,000 a month. Clearly, Grand Island, New York is a huge draw for visitors from other areas wishing to explore the many opportunities that are there, as well as staying overnight while spending tourist dollars. Tourism leads to many jobs supporting our communities: maids, landscapers, repair trades, and of course, all the community jobs that support our small businesses and the local attractions. In general, B&Bs do not have any neighborhood issues. In Grand Island, New York, there are no B&B complaints of any kind that we're aware of. This is not unusual for B&Bs. Communities really welcome B&Bs, guests love them, and so do all the small businesses. Issuing a special use permit will not only help Cherish, but it will give her the ability to encourage guests to explore other small businesses in the community, such as restaurants like Dick and Jenny's, Adrian's Custard and Beef, or the Beach House. Additionally, guests will head over to tourist destinations like the Welcome Center, Kelly's Country Store, Niagara River Cruises, or Blue Water Marina, and some of the beautiful state parks. Cherish will continue to be an outstanding ambassador, welcoming people to the Grand Island while staying with her. She understands how important it is to take care of the surrounding community while serving others. Cherish really is an incredible source and very involved in her community. In a time where 31% of neighbors barely know each other, that is just not the case for Cherish. Cherish consistently hosts neighborhood Christmas parties, and just this past weekend, she was one of many musical porches that was enjoyed by the entire community. For over a year, she has been a host in another area, so she has a lot of experience doing this and understands how to bring in good people into the community and to enjoy all that it offers. I am sure she will take extra special care to make sure people slow down when they come into the community and are aware of where they are. I want to thank you again for the opportunity to speak in favor of Cherish Beals getting this special use permit. If there are any questions that I can answer for you in general about the industry, I'm open to your questions. Is there anything I can answer for you?
No.
I want to thank you very much again for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any other speakers online?
Only
on this
the
issue.
person that we inadvertently missed.
Well, let's finish this first.
Yeah. that-
Stand by. Is there anyone else in the room that wishes to speak on this matter for the bed and breakfast? For a third and final time. I'm going to declare the public hearing closed, and I'm going to entertain a motion to refer this to the planning board.
It's already been referred.
It's already referred? Okay.
I didn't hear back though yet. Still.
It didn't make the, it didn't make the agenda.
Okay.
It didn't make the
It's still at-
cutoff.
it's still at the planning board.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can't do it.
No, so it's a table. Table.
You can table or refer it back to the town board either way.
We'll just refer it back to the town board then. after the
I mean,
planning
it's
board's
gonna be
finished.
2 meetings before the planning board.
So moved.
Right.
Second.
According to the zone, as I read it, the zoning code, it indicates that after 31 days, the planning board hasn't approved from the application. Planning board hasn't approved it or recommended approval based on certain conditions or denied it, and it defaults to being approved.
Well, it would have to
I
get to the
think-
planning board first.
No,
It
I
hasn't
mean,
been to the planning board.
no. If you read it appropriately, but I think we could approve it, but I don't think any of us is going to do that without hearing back from the planning board, especially because,
Right.
yeah, so it'll still be on the planning board. It'll be October 11th.
October 11th is
12th.
the planning board meeting.
Oh, they meet on that. Yeah, they meet on the holiday anyways, so.
Okay, so we're just an oversight of September 13th.
For some reason, it was not on the agenda. I don't know what that reason was.
I talked to the zoning clerk and she said it was because they got a secret had to be
Okay.
submitted first, which as you know, doesn't have to.
Yes. Okay. All right, so motion by.
Bainey, Tagati.
And the residents require or ask that the permit does then terminate if and when the Beals sell their house?
No, I'm sorry, sir. Law doesn't allow that. Motion was by
Bainey,
Jim
Tagati.
Bainey, second by Tom Tagati. Roll call.
Bainey.
Hi.
DeGatti.
Aye.
Madigan.
Aye.
Marston.
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Okay, we have one other person that wanted to speak on public comments with respect to the cannabis issue online.
Yep, I'm online. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Please state your name and hold the comments to 3 minutes or less. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name's Kelly Gast, and I wanted to speak on the dispensary issue. I'll just read my statement. Curtailing the rise of the marijuana black market is one of the reasons why states started to legalize cannabis. But with some cities banning recreational establishments, there could be a rise in cannabis demand from the black market. With this could come a higher abuse of cannabis abuse in towns that opt out. We are in the era of the marijuana economy boom, and I hope Grand Island opts to reap all the benefits. If you opt out, people will travel to other cities and states as they are doing right now, and those areas will reap the benefits, and so will the consumer. If cannabis sales are allowed in our bordering towns and cities, it's a moot point really as to whether or not there will be cannabis consumed in our town. It is. Opting in will enable Grand Island to influence how cannabis will be distributed in our town and to reap tax benefits from its retail sales. I like to say dispensaries are better than dealers. Here's why. Purchasing cannabis from a dealer, you never know what you are getting. They could be falsifying the strain, adding in, or taking out. It's very risky. When you purchase cannabis from a dispensary, you know it's safe. Most complications people have are from black market products or only smoking it instead of enjoying various other forms like edibles and topicals. Purchasing from a dispensary also provides safe access. And lastly, the salespeople working inside the stores know their plants. They know how to adjust without over-medicating or overindulging. Dealers are more worried about getting you high than getting you well. So for relatively new users like me, this last reason is so important. I choose to live a healthy lifestyle. I participate in long distance endurance and athletic events, climb mountains, teach and practice yoga, don't drink alcohol, although I don't shame those who do, and try to take care of myself as holistically as possible. I'm not interested in pharmaceuticals. I suffer from inflammatory conditions along with chronic migraines that in order to control sometimes require an obscene amount of ibuprofen, steroids, or prescription medications that wreak havoc on my liver. I've recently turned to cannabis, which I take in either edible or capsule form and find great relief. And if I didn't admit that out loud here today, neither you nor my children would ever know when it's in my system. So yes, I'm in favor of permitting dispensaries within our town limits. This way, consumers know exactly what's in their bud, concentrate, oil, edible, or other cannabis-infused product. You know what it weighs, how much you have, and that you will not get in trouble if you are caught purchasing something legal that truly can improve your quality of life. Cannabis is legal now, and I don't think we should prohibit means to make it even safer for everyone to purchase. For average people like me who eat the plant for its health benefits, you'll be ensuring access and peace of mind. And even if the opting in action leads to a few more people enjoying an occasional giggle, I think we can agree that may not be the worst thing for our town. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to allow those that would like to get up and leave and not spend the rest of the evening with us to do so. So. And you won't hurt our feelings.
Are we signing?
It's nice to have people here
The
again.
students
for the
think they
people
can
that
leave.
were at the public hearing.
The students think they can leave.
Well, that's-
Yeah.
The students, you guys can't leave.
You guys got to stick it out.
Get signed.
Bad choice. This is the longest
Sorry.
meeting we've had since
You
COVID,
guys
I
picked
think.
the wrong one.
You picked the wrong meeting to come to. We can't sign your agendas until the end.
Or the right meeting.
The good news is all the fun stuff's over. The rest of
Close.
it's relatively quick.
So close. I'm sorry, you know, we don't sign the agendas till the end of the meeting. You're in for the duration.
Tell them to come back another meeting.
You can come back another night if you'd like. There'll be shorter meetings.
You don't want to miss all this fun.
We can't sign it. You don't have to stay by any means. We just can't sign it till the end of the meeting. But if they say you only have to stay for an hour,
take the risk either way. It's up
You
to
can tell them to
guys.
watch the video.
Yeah, they can see.
It's your call, guys. Let's go. Make a decision.
See you guys in a couple weeks. Too soon.
Can't drive past 9.
Sorry, it's already past 9. Okay,
All right.
let's call this back to order. Item number 6 on our agenda is approve the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of workshop number 29 from September 7th, 2021, and approve the minutes of regular meeting number 16 from September 7th, 2021.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilman DeGatti, second by Councilman Madigan.
Marston.
Marston, I'm sorry, I apologize. Any discussion? Roll call.
DeGatti.
Aye.
Marston.
Aye.
Madigan.
Aye.
Boenie.
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Item number 7, the consent agenda. Tonight, we have 4 items on the consent agenda. The meeting minutes from the zoning board of appeals from August 5th, 2021. The meeting minutes from the planning board from August 9th, 2021. The meeting minutes from Grand Island Memorial Library Board of Trustees special meeting from July 8th, 2021. And local law intro of 2021 to amend chapter 407 of the town code solar law amendments to seeker lead agency designation. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So
Second. Motion by Councilman Boenie, second by Councilman Marston. Any discussion? Roll call.
Boenie.
Aye.
Marston.
Aye.
Madigan.
Aye.
DeGatti.
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Communications from the town board, item number 8 from Supervisor John Whitney. Monthly supervisors report in your packet from August of 2021. That is for information only. It should be received and filed. From Councilman Mike Madigan, contract for CPA audit services.
Yes, I would like to make a motion for approval of the supervisor to sign a contract for auditing services with Drescher Malecki LLP on behalf of the town of Grand Island, subject to review by the town attorney. The annual prices for their services are not to exceed the following: audit service in 2021, $23,539, 2022, $24,010, 2023, $24,490, 2024, $24,980, 2025, $25,479, 2026, $25,989, and 2027, $26,508 for the clerk, court and court clerk AUP. It's for 2021, it's 3,121, 2022, it's 3,184, 2023, it's 3,247, 2024, 3,312, 2025, it's 3,378, 2026, it's 3,446, 2027, it's 3,514. Single audit is for 2021 is 3,641, 3,714 for 2022, 3,789 for 2023, 2024 is 3,864, 2025 is 3,942, 2026 is 4,021, 2027 is 4,101, and last row here, filing cost is a price that they would charge as 2021 is 2,601, 2022, 2,653, 2023 is 2,706, 2,760 for 2024, 2,815 in 2025, 2,871 in 2026, and 2,929 in 2027. Like to make that motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Motion by Councilman Madigan, a second by Councilwoman Boenie. On the question,
Well, I've got some stuff to say on this.
you have the floor.
We had this discussion a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't on the board when this decision was made. I wasn't present for the interviews, but I followed it as unfolded. This was done in 2019. I was a candidate for council. I was here when it was voted on. I was here the following week when the town accountant addressed the issue. Since then, I've done what I could to educate myself about the situation. Started when Councilwoman Boenie gave me all her materials from the process in about February of 2020, a month after I was on the board. Told me to look at it and asked me what my thoughts were. There wasn't enough just in there for me to make a decision. There were things I didn't like about the process, but one thing I learned for sure is that part of this, the whole purpose of this, the town auditor audits the financial reports that are prepared by the town accountant. That is the scope of work for this service. I said at the last meeting, Mike, I didn't like the way this went down. I understand it happened before. I don't think that just calling one place and getting an updated quote was the right way to handle this. The right way to handle it would have been something similar to what Jennifer tried to do last year, and to get it to John and I and ask us to look into it. But you didn't do that. And I was upset about it then. Then I read your article in the Dispatch on Friday. You made it abundantly clear that your motivation for doing this was the result of the Golden Age Center issue, which I have been told by every single person that I've asked, from the town attorney, the town accountant, people who sat in the interviews and addressed the same thing, that it is abundantly clear the town auditor's job was to review and approve and certify the financial reports prepared by the town that did not include the monies at issue. In other words, nobody would have caught that. That's not an issue that's here. That's an indisputable fact. And I don't know why we're here, but I read the article in the Dispatch. So we're starting with the fact that you're going down this rabbit hole for the wrong reasons. And I'm not saying that there weren't issues with the process, but that's your reason. I was suspect. Now I'm even more suspect because I read the thing and basically it seems to be a campaign against a particular councilman, and you're charging an issue with his decision. You're pleading with people to call him and to correct this. Mike, why, if it was such an issue, didn't you bring this up in February like Jennifer did, February of 2020? It's been 21 months. And now, 2 months before another councilman is up for a vote, we're going to make this a political charade. You refused to put this out for an RFP and do it the way it should be done. And you're insisting on this vote. And after publishing that in the Dispatch, I take great issue with this. This is not the way town government is going to operate. I don't agree or really have an opinion on whether it was done the right the first time because I wasn't there, but I have a big issue with the way this is being presented to this board.
So just to hit a couple things. First of all, in terms of the funds, government municipal law requires every penny collected by this town to immediately, let me finish. I did not interrupt you. I don't expect to be interrupted. So it requires every penny that the town collects be placed in a town government bank account and to be audited by the financial auditor. This auditor has been around for 39 years. He knows damn well that there's a Golden Age Center. He knows damn well there's a food program. He knows damn well those funds were not in the audit that was occurring. The town accountant made the decision to exclude it. I had to battle her to get this once this first was discovered, it took almost 1.5 years before we finally got this to be properly audited and complied with government municipal law. So let me just read what did happen because it is important. And COVID happened, and there was a lot of things that happened over the last few months or year since you were elected, why this hasn't come up. It just wasn't the right time. And this is the right time to bring it up. Last summer at this same time was not the right time. So this is the time you bring this up because the audit just got finished for last year. And the audit process for this starts in December of this coming year. So this is the right time to bring it up. But anyways, so I just so that all the people are aware, this is what happened. The theft. So this is what precipitated why we wanted a CPA auditor and a change. The theft of significantly more than $100,000 from the town over several years at the town Golden Age facility was completely preventable. Completely preventable. When dealing with cash-rich process, temptation and opportunity can be great, and proper controls must be used to mitigate such risk. At the Golden Age Center, no such controls exist. In fact, the town was breaking the law by not reporting cash transactions and not placing them in a town-registered bank account within 10 business days. This breach left the process wide open to theft. The lack of controls were so bad, much of the cash that was being collected, which was thousands or tens of thousands of dollars a year, were being placed directly in a personal bank account. A personal bank account. I just went over it and audited and looked at it in August, and it took almost 3 or 4 months later before this whole thing got uncovered because of a lot of resistance from McMurray and others. But it was being placed in a personal bank account, and that's what I discovered and then pursued the investigation. The prior supervisor did obstruct. He basically said I was attacking some poor old ladies. It was personally very difficult to pursue this investigation. She's very popular, loved by all. She's a great person. It's really regrettable what happened. This temptation that was put in front of her was too great, and a lot of other factors were involved. So prior to the supervisor, the prior supervisor obstructed my efforts to investigate this theft and to prevent future incidents. So he obstructed my efforts to prevent future incidents. One of those efforts was placing our annual financial audit firm of over 39 years, the same firm for 39 years. It is my strong opinion that we need a new company looking at our books, challenging our controls, because that's what they do, and completely independent from our employees with no long-term friendships within our accounting office. My preventive action plan had 3 goals. So I had 3 goals after that theft, which I felt was so preventable, it was regrettable. Number 1, ensure full compliance with the law in all town processes going forwards. That means every dime collected had to be in a government, municipal, or a bank account that's owned by the town, not a personal bank account. Imagine that. Number 2, the town in 2019 hired a qualified outside auditor, Drescher Malecki, to review all high-risk cash, credit, and other processes for fraud to provide suggestions for improving our controls. This was completed. So we had an outside auditor, independent, not a friend, come in and audit our entire process, top to bottom, identify risks, and fixes are being put in place to prevent future fraud. Because this was not the first time we've experienced total lack of proper controls to prevent such thefts. We've had at least one other incident that's happened. The last and equally important action was replacing our financial audit firm. The past acceptance of the omission of high cash transactional golden age funds from the annual financial audit remains very concerning to me. We need our audit firm to be completely independent from our accounting department. Currently, that does not exist. In 2019, the town board, based on interviews, qualifications, and price, settled on a new company at a workshop meeting and settled on the top candidate to be voted on at the next town board meeting. That company was highly qualified and conducts an overwhelming number of the town and village audits throughout Erie County. They specialize in municipal auditing. The company won the town's business through putting considerable time and effort into the bid process. Following that meeting, our long-term audit manager, full 39 years, he's been the same guy, a friend of our accountant, was asked by our accountant to lower the firm's price for the audit and did so by 33%. Their price remained one of the highest. We learned that our town had been way overpaying for audits for many years. Note that it is expected that a town periodically tests the market to ensure taxpayers are not paying above market prices. Why wasn't that occurring? I can't explain that. It's the responsibility to be testing the market. We got these guys to drop it by their price by 33%. They remain one of the highest priced auditors. So the lowest priced auditor is the most qualified auditor. Peace Marston was willing to abandon the board decision that was noted above and chose to continue to contract with the current overpriced company, along with Bev Kenny and Nate McMurray, leaving in place our current auditor, costing the town premium pricing with no return of value. There's no return on value. We're paying, and we've been paying over the last audit period, thousands of dollars more with no return on value for that. So we had a lower price. We picked one of the highest prices for thousands of dollars more per year. We are contracting with that company as opposed to what is a more qualified company in terms of the way they specialize in our types of audits for these small towns. We rejected them and went with the long-term company. it was a friends and family club vote. I know of no reasonable person who would pay for a service where that person was aware of a higher qualified service provider that would do it for thousands of dollars less per year and receive no measurable benefit or value from paying a premium price. It is simply wrong. Friends and family considerations must never be used to decide how taxpayer funds are used. This motion does revisit that vote. This vote will provide the opportunity for one council person to do the right thing relative to his past vote. Both Supervisor Whitney and Councilman DeGotti were not present in the interviews 2 years ago. I can understand their hesitancy in this matter, and if they want to recuse themselves, they can consider that. And reaching out to Dressel Malecki, their contract agreement price has not changed, and they stand ready to serve our community, which would save us thousands of dollars per year currently. So there is a cost savings, thousands of dollars for a higher qualified or at least equivalently qualified. So we would gain nothing by retaining the current provider of the audit process. So just to conclude, there was a theft by the town. There were 3 corrective actions. I take that very serious. Not corrective, but preventive. We got it back onto government municipal law. We're now complying. We are breaking the law, the way in which accounting was occurring, not completely not occurring, in a very high cash transactional business in part of the town government. That is illegal. It should never have happened. Our current, so I think you get the idea. Anyways, to conclude, I do think there's at least 3 of us that were involved in all the interviews. We know the insides and outs. We know the qualifications. We know the prices and the favorability of Dresser Malecki. And I leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Can I have a turn to speak?
Okay. Go right ahead.
Mike brought it up to me in 2020, in the middle of COVID and out of audit cycle. By the time he brought it up to talk to me about it, I said, this isn't really the right time to do it. We're too far into the next cycle. As far as doing it now, Tom, I think it has less to do with the election and more that I have 3.5 months left. I cannot be bought. I will not lie. I cannot be swayed. You guys know me. I'm Jen. I'll do what's right every single time. I have no loyalties. I have no allies in government. Just Jen. So not to be all Hamilton-like, but I was in the room where it happened. There's 3 of us that are. And come 3.5 months from now, that history will be gone. 3 people here know how this went down. It was black and white. It was completely clear. And it's so egregious because 3 someones deviated from what was appropriate to what was inappropriate. So Mike's right. Tom, John, you weren't in the interviews. You looked over my materials, but there's no way you could make a decision on this. I think of this tonight as restoring a little bit of trust in government because what happened was so bad. I mean, if 3 people that were in the room to see how it went vote appropriately, then we can be done with this. Or the alternate can happen. We can play politics and pride can be there. And then we can go through this process again of 10 or 15 more hours of work where we bring in all those vendors again and talk with them, even though we know what their prices are going to be because they've projected them out for us for 7 to 9 years. We'll go through the whole system again to arrive at the same conclusion, to pick the right company who's the best price, who specializes in municipal auditing. And if anyone sitting here, like I said the other week, wonders why people don't trust government or won't get involved in government, it's because of garbage like this. That's all I have to say.
Would I like to say anything?
It's up to you next. You're next if you'd like to.
I can. So yes, we went through this 21 months ago. We met all these companies. All these companies were incredibly qualified. The company Mike speaks of did come in with the lowest number. I do not particularly agree that the way the number dropped and the other one was, I don't really know that I agree with how that happened, or I don't even know how it happened. But I'm going to tell you at the point that where it dropped to, it was very, very close financially. And when you take into account the fact that beyond fiscal, you are talking about town resources. Town resources include employees, and employee costs, and employee time. I've seen time and time again where town boards have no recollection of how much more time something like this would take. Do I feel bad there was a theft at Golden Age? Yes. Is it their fault it was not discovered? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was not in the privy of their job. Not at all. I'm sorry. I'm not going to lie for you.
And Mike, I think you made that clear at the end. You said it was a problem with government, a problem with this. It was a problem with the town board and the way that the Golden Age Center operated. It was not an auditor problem. And again, if it was, I'd be right there with you. But every person I've spoken to has indicated that this was not something the auditor should have caught. The town accountant, when she gave her speech right after the election, it was November of 2019, said that she had brought that issue up to town boards well before 2019. So we want to blame somebody. That's who we have to blame, is the people who knew what was going on and sat there and didn't do what you did. So I don't agree. I agree with you completely that it was wrong. It was really bad. It was entirely preventable, but it was not preventable by having a different auditing company do it. And that's my point here is you're on this and you're using that as the precipitous for this, but your anger, whatever it is, it's misdirected at them.
So remove
I-
that, how would that change the auditor decision?
I can say that Dresser Malecki specifically calls out in their proposal, they look at controls, proper accounting controls, and makes recommendations relative to risk, especially for cash transactional activities. This was a cash transactional activity. It's no secret. This guy's been around for 39 years. He knows we have a Golden Age Center. He knows we have a food service. We did ask him. He did know it. Pam knew it. Everybody knew it. Pam chose. I don't have any history on the history of this. I do know that everybody in the room was shocked to hear that it wasn't being audited at the time when it occurred, which includes at least two prior boards, which includes, so the prior board before Pete and Jen were involved as well. So I'm not sure, I'm not going to question it, but I'm going to say that anyone that would tell me, so I'm going to just use my reasonable thinking, the high cash transactional activities over at the food service for the Golden Age Center, we're not going to audit that. We're not going to follow generally accepted accounting practices.
And tell
We're not even going to look. We're not even going to look and find out that for years, not for days, not for weeks, not for months, but for years, a personal account, bank account that a person was spending at a casino, for God's sakes, is capturing all the money. And when we say $100,000,
Right.
I'm sorry, but
That was all we could prove.
was a tip of the iceberg, because there was a lot of cash that was probably not going into that account. Plus, we couldn't really figure out everything that was going on in that account. We didn't have full access to it because guess what? It was not a town account. It was a personal bank account with her name on it.
Which was completely improper.
So,
I don't
I mean,
disagree.
our accountant also, and I can't emphasize this enough, knows government municipal law. She knows our government municipal law. She knows that every penny this town collects has to go into a town account. She knows that every penny that goes into that account is supposed to be on the financial audit. It was excluded and it shouldn't have been. I got to emphasize also, it wasn't the town board that decided on the accountant that Pete helped enable. And the company that got rejected, who put a tremendous amount of time, they all did. They won fair and square the business. They were very upset when they did not get the business and sent a letter to the entire town board, including trying to educate the town board with their misguided decision. And why was it misguided? Number one, the town supervisor's accountant communicated her recommendation for town auditor this past Wednesday. I want to note the date on this, September 13th. September 13th. Do you know, Tom, what was the date that we actually voted as a board on this decision?
It was after that.
October 4th.
I know. Like I said.
So the town accountant made the decision. I didn't even know we were going to lose the business. I found out through this email.
Mike,
No,
He said,
Are you?
he said he didn't know.
I didn't.
Was talking about himself.
I didn't
No, he
know.
didn't know.
that
You said, I didn't know that we were going to lose the business.
I think he was referring to the town board. At the
We
time.
hadn't voted yet, John.
Okay, I thought you were referring to
So she's
yourself, Michael. I'm
communicating.
sorry.
It is
I thought
ultimately a
maybe we had
town.
a connection to Drescher Malecki.
So it is ultimately a town council decision, since the town council fulfills the vital role of serving as the audit committee for the town. The primary role of an audit committee is to provide independence in communication and oversight relating to the audit process. Independence means the town accountant isn't in the decision process for hiring the auditor. We broke so many rules in this process. I tried to educate somebody, but the whole thing was so corrupt, and it was a friends and family club situation. It should have never happened, and it was unacceptable. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to call out dysfunction when I see it. I'm going to call out corruption when I see it. I can say that I, as a business person, would never pay thousands of dollars a year more for a service that I get no additional benefit from, and would go with another company that offers the exact same service or better, plus a fresh set of eyes after this theft that occurred. And it wasn't the first time that a theft occurred. Heck, we had an employee pumping gas for months and months and months after they left the town. I mean, we've had thefts where the improper controls were not in place. We need to fix our process. There's 3 ways to do it. We've done 2 of them. We need to do the 3rd. We should be hiring a independent, not a person hired by our accountant company. And that's what this whole letter, and it goes on and on about, why are you having your accountant hire your auditor? Because that shouldn't happen. It's the committee, the audit committee's responsibility to maintain independence between the accountant, the people doing our books, and the auditor. Because you know what? You don't have the criminals in charge of hiring the police. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a little off a little bit at times, but that's something that I probably think is a bad idea. Sorry.
Worth
My turn.
noting, just one last thing, please. My entire time on this board, I've been on the audit committee. Supervisor McMurray, Supervisor Whitney
Still here.
are 2 very different men. They've had me, despite their differences, they've had me handle the numbers. Mike, most of your whole first term, I'm not sure, on the audit committee. Tom joins the board on the audit committee. John, every single voucher that goes through, he has to put a stamp on. You would think if you're someone who doesn't do that and doesn't even volunteer to sub or fill in, but more often than not has to recuse himself from the audits because of personal conflicts, you'd probably say, you know what, I'm really not a money guy. I don't do the audits. I've never been on the audit committee, but for some reason you remain so steadfast on this, Pete, despite not having any financial involvement or any responsibility within our town. It's not appropriate.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. But I will say, going back 21 months ago, I spent a lot of time on this, and I really did not know where I was going till the day of. I spent a lot of time up in accounting, talking to not only our town accountant, but the whole department about everything. And they all took time separately, talked to me about this. We discussed it. I would ask everybody else how much time they spent talking to the people that work for the town to understand what it would take to switch a vendor. And I can answer the question for you. None. You didn't reach out to the people at all. You looked down on them and said, this is what you shall do. I find it unacceptable. And I will never, ever be bullied into a decision that you need me to make for you to support your whatever it is you got going on. Sorry, I'm done.
The switch over of a new financial auditing firm, it's not going to take thousands of dollars a year for the next 8 years cost. It's a one-time startup cost. Getting those fresh eyes, invaluable, I got to say. But back on those costs, those are soft costs. It's costs that we're paying hourly rates, and it would be that inconvenience. It's an inconvenience. It's not really a cost that would cost the taxpayers money. Abusing taxpayers' money by at paying a premium price, probably not something you would do. You wouldn't do it as a personal business, Pete. I wouldn't do it. I think a reasonable person wouldn't pay thousands more for no value per year for 8 years straight. You said, and I'm going to quote you, I did not know where I was going until the day of. The day of was October 4th. This letter, Pam Bart, our accountant, knew on September 3rd, whatever it is, 13th.
Good for her.
Weeks before, and was confident enough to reject our other suppliers. I'm sorry, when I call it a backroom deal, it's a backroom deal. 3 people got together, said, this is what we're doing. And here we are debating whether or not, I think this is pretty strong evidence. If a rejection of vendors went out, I think the decision was made. It just wasn't made publicly, wasn't made in front of cameras like is legally required by open meetings law. And it's regrettable, and it shouldn't have happened.
Can I speak?
Sure, go ahead. I could go on, but I'm going to skip it because my mind's made up. So just go ahead.
Thank you. I am not against changing auditing firms. However, I am not going to vote to change auditing firms because one councilman went and got a price on his own without discussing it with the town board, without issuing an RFP. And that's the bottom line right there. If you want to issue an RFP, you'd like to amend your motion to issue an RFP to solicit all auditing firms that are eligible, I would go along with it.
And Mike, I will say another disservice that prior town boards did is what you said. Why aren't we putting this stuff out?
Yeah.
For an RFP regularly? Because you're right. We just keep paying more and more and more. The only way to keep them honest is to put it out every 2 years.
I have no argument with that.
We know what the market price is, what a reasonable market price is. Our current auditor was not offering that. And actually we were paying 33% more for the audit, 33% more than the market price that they came down to, which was still one of the highest prices. So that I agree was egregious that we did not, that the prior boards had not fixed that issue. To address John's issue, John, you weren't here. Tom, you weren't here.
You're right. We weren't.
Us 3 were. So how you vote, I support you 100% in voting no, because it makes sense because you don't know everything.
You're right.
We have been in this conversation. We had went through all the interviews. These prices are not new. They're the same prices.
But we don't know what the
It's
other
just 1
firms are
year
going to
later.
do.
There is no price change in what they are offering.
They projected them for us. We have. those
Okay, I
numbers.
get it, but
They're
that
all-
was 2 years ago. Things change in 2 years.
It's
Jen.
the
I will
same
not
price.
support, excuse me, I have the floor. I will not support without going out for an RFP, bottom line.
I
you.
understand that, John. But
Roll
what
call.
what I'm saying is there's 3 people.
We have
here
a
that
motion and a
went
second.
Through it, and we know what the
I
prices
understand.
were.
We're arguing
These prices did
semantics
not
at this
change in the
point.
Same prices. It's just 1 less year of prices relative to our current auditor.
We have a motion and a second at this point. Roll call.
Madigan.
Aye.
Baney.
Aye.
Marston.
Nay.
DeGotti.
Nay.
Whitney.
Nay, that motion does not carry.
So does someone want to do a motion to put an RFP out?
Not on our agenda, but if you
No,
want to
it's not on
forward
the
that,
agenda. Let's see who puts it on.
okay, I'm fine
Do
with
your
that.
part, Mike.
From the town attorney, Peter Godfrey, New York State Opportunity, Office of Cannabis Management, Marijuana Regulation.
Covered that
Taxation.
You've covered that one.
So we don't have to do anything. There's nothing you're going to add at this point.
Unless the board wants to make a decision at this
Nope.
point.
Oh, no.
Otherwise, you could just refer that matter back to the town board. It's all that's necessary at this time.
I'll entertain a motion to refer that back to the town board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tom DeGotti, second by Pete Marston. Roll call.
DeGotti.
Aye.
Marston.
Aye.
Madigan.
Aye.
Baney.
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. From the Department of Engineering and Water Resources. Oh, I would just, a couple other things. Patty, I have a couple emails that were relative to the cannabis issue. Enter into the roll. From the Department of Engineering and Water Resources, item number one is award a contract for a concrete roof repair at the wastewater plant digester. Job number M-102-2021A. Under the Master Intergovernmental Cooperative Purchasing Agreement and piggybacking provisions for contracts through U.S. communities, bids were opened on September 9th, 2021 by the Garland Company for repair of the concrete roof on the digester at the wastewater treatment plant. Flex Epoxy Flooring bid $41,804. Jameson Roofing bid $44,814. And Raymond E. Kelly Incorporated bid $71,335. Engineering is requesting that concrete roof repair of the digester at the wastewater treatment plant project be awarded to the Garland Company, Flex Epoxy Flooring, in the amount of $41,804.
So moved.
Motion by Jen Baney,
Second.
second by Mike Madigan. Any discussion? Roll call.
Baney.
Aye.
Madigan.
Aye.
Marston.
Aye.
Tagati.
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Local law number 9, local law intro number 9 of 2021, which is to amend chapter 407 of the town code for solar law amendments. We have 2 resolutions and a correspondence from the planning board in your packet. First one is to introduce solar law intro number 9 as proposed.
So moved.
Motion by Tom Tagati,
Second.
second by Mike Madigan. Any discussion on this? Roll call.
Tagati.
Aye.
Madigan.
Aye.
Baney.
Aye.
Marston.
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Second resolution.
And I should have just said, introduce doesn't mean approve.
No, correct. Exactly, Mike. Thank you.
I just want to make sure people know
You're
that.
right. Town of Grand Island Town Council resolution that enact the proposed local law entitled local law number 9 of the town of Grand Island solar law is subject to seeker and classifying consideration of the proposed local law as a type 1 action under seeker. So we are requesting lead agency here.
Yes.
No,
Yes, and setting public hearings, adopting the resolution.
So we just like I'll entertain a motion to adopt this as drafted.
so long as second for discussion.
Sure.
Motion by John Baney, second by Tom Tagati for discussion.
As long as it includes the appropriate amendment for the time.
Correct.
Right.
Patty had that correct
Yes,
already. That's why I didn't mention it.
Yeah, so we'll be setting a public at 8 o'clock on October 4th.
Declaring lead agency classifying type 1 and setting public hearing for 10-4.
Right.
Thank you.
At 8 o'clock PM. The document had
At 8
7
PM.
o'clock.
Yes.
Thank you.
We can thank Bridget.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Baney. Baney.
Aye.
Tagati.
Aye.
Madigan.
Aye.
Marston.
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. The correspondence from the planning board in your packet, received and filed, referred to the town board.
Yeah, for tomorrow's meeting. So
Motion moving that.
so moved.
Second.
Motion by Tom Tagati, second by Pete Marston.
And sorry, I missed what we were talking
It's
about.
just the planning board comments on the solar law that we're going to
Just
discuss.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we're going to litigate that tomorrow. Not
No,
whatever it's
litigate.
called. Not
We're not gonna
litigate.
I hope not.
Whatever the word is.
Counselor.
Review.
Review.
It's a long
So
night.
what you just referred it to the town board?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who was that? Tagati.
Yeah, yeah.
Tagati and
I don't know.
Madigan.
Aye.
No, you seconded it, right?
Yep. I did now.
No, it was Marston, but it's now Madigan. Roll call.
Tagati.
All right.
Madigan.
Aye.
Baney.
Aye.
Marston.
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. From the Code Enforcement Office, special use permit renewal from National Fuel Gas Supply Corporation at 1589 Stony Point Road for the natural gas regulator metering station. The fees have been paid, the property's been inspected and remains unchanged. I'll entertain a motion to approve the renewal of the special use permit.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Pete Marston, second by Tom Tagati. Any discussion? Roll call.
Marston.
Aye.
Tagati.
Aye.
Madigan.
Aye.
Baney.
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Special use permit application, which is titled ZBA 2021 061, is from Black Hills Farm Corporation, 126 Industrial Drive, to allow the grazing sheep on the solar site. So I'll entertain a motion to refer this to the planning board and to set a public hearing for October 4th at 8:00 PM.
So moved.
Motion by Mike Madigan, second by Pete Marston. Any further discussion?
I'm just, from what I've seen, looking at that, I'm very concerned about the care of those animals there.
We should have our,
Well, it says attached to the application is the following, but I don't see, it includes a feeding
Well-
and watering plan, which, I mean, I don't know what your packet.
right, exactly. I would think we should ask them to be removed until such time as this is approved.
Is they,
Absolutely.
yeah, actually give a plan of some sort, because I think
Right.
on one of these. well, I can't read it. Maybe
So there's
it's-
no principal home or residence there. And when you walk around, I don't see any water. I'm not sure how they're getting water.
So
I don't know
why
if
don't
they're
we,
relying on them
why don't we
grazing.
amend the motion to include refer to code enforcement for appropriate action until this is
Yes.
approved?
Sure.
Okay. Roll call?
Okay, can you just clarify, please? Are we doing the planning board and setting the public hearing?
Yes, and we're also referring to code enforcement for the appropriate action of.
No,
the
I thought you
removal
said
of-
we were gonna table it until they supplemented this application.
Well, the animals.
Well,
aren't being
we're
cared for.
voting to refer it to the to the
Code
planning board.
enforcement to see if they're being cared for.
What would you suggest, Tom? Sorry.
I mean, do we?
If
want it
I'm
to
the
go to
planning board and I
yet?
get this, I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
bring me back the plan that they claim is attached and
Yes.
isn't before they review it. So,
Right.
I mean, we can refer it there, but I guess if they don't come up with a real plan before.
And
Okay.
the public hearing wouldn't be great either. at this
Right.
stage.
Yep.
Just
So,
my gut.
so it really should be referred back to the code enforcement is what you're saying.
Agreed.
To provide a plan and clear, what are they doing to humanely?
They're not gonna have a planning board meeting until October 11th.
They'll make that.
Yeah, they'll make it, but they need to. Whatever.
We even
could
need to
re-
refer it to the
provide the
planning
plan
board.
in the
Can we
interim.
not just reject it on
We-
the spot?
Peter,
We could
And you-
reject it.
It's a
It's incom-
special use permit application.
Yes.
Correct. We're concerned about the humane treatment of the animals.
I wouldn't,
Well, that's
we
what-
can talk about that separately. I mean, they're separate issues. You can refer to code enforcement and we don't have to approve the application for a variety of
Well, the
reasons.
application is to requesting to allow agricultural animals to graze. So. That's what
The special use permit.
Yes.
So they
my
can't
issue
have
is,
it until it's permitted.
right, well, my issue is the special use permit that we have in front of us, the application at 7 says attached to the application is the following. And there's a check mark and it says for the keeping of agricultural animals, a feeding and watering plan for said animals and a waste management plan, including how and where the animal waste is to be disposed. We don't have any of that. So,
Right. Well, they can amend their application, can't they?
or supplement it.
Yes.
They
So-
might be included. It says that they're attached, but they're not in the agenda packet.
Do we need to discuss this in executive, whether we can straight out reject it at this point? I mean, we don't have to refer it to the planning board.
I mean, we would eventually.
It's not necessary to deny it today. It's not granted.
We're gonna
until it's
have another
granted,
meeting
so-
before it goes to the planning board.
Well, but if we wait to refer it to them until October 4th, it won't make it to their agenda.
Well,
It
if
doesn't
we
matter because the
refer it
court-
now, it goes on the October 11th agenda for the planning board.
Now it would. But if
Right.
we wait until the October 4th
Right.
meeting. we
If,
pass
if
that.
on October 4th, they haven't provided the information, we can reject it.
Well, I think the bigger concern is, I mean, there's not proper shelter there. There's.
Right. But
We're
that's what
not
we're-
convinced there's proper food or et cetera.
And that's
Waiting
what we're
another
referring
two-
it to code enforcement for,
well,
to
Waiting
act on
another
it.
2 weeks.
No, we're referring it to code enforcement now.
Yeah,
So
but-
code enforcement can act on it right now and they
Well, I
can
guess
kick
my
them out.
question would be, could we not reject it and then request code enforcement to enforce it?
Could we reject the special use?
I think we can
application
do
altogether?
both. We can refer it and then have code enforcement enforce it now.
That's fine. Just.
And there's no special use permit until there is. So as of right now.
We can
it's
refer
not
to-
an
Well,
authorized
we
use.
either approve or reject it. Can't we just straight out reject it and then just say they need to remove
On an
it?
appropriate record. If we were to do that, I'd do a resolution for you.
All right, then it's referred to the town, the planning board. If they get
No,
the
to
stuff
the code enforcement.
and planning board and get them on the agenda. And if they show up without that plan they claim they have, the planning board's going to tell them to kick rocks too. So.
I'm good with that.
And can we still set the public hearing for October 4th?
Do you want that public hearing on October 4th?
Well, that
They
would be
may
before the
have
planning
supplemented their documentation by then.
Sure, and we'll keep it open if they don't have the, right, they don't have a plan, God bless them, because like Jen said, I
That
can't
will be
imagine it
pretty-
going very well.
Sure.
Well, my preference is the resolution that was hinted to.
We would need to build a record, and part of the record could be the fact that there's an incomplete application, but we can, let's just get it going.
Okay.
All right, so I'll make a motion to refer to the planning board and set the public hearing for October 4th.
And refer to code enforcement.
And refer to code enforcement.
So moved.
Okay.
So no, we already have that. We have Madigan, Marston already. I just wanted to clarify. We're
Okay.
including the code enforcement for the plan
Yes.
of,
For the violation.
Well,
I
to,
believe.
for the violation of having sheep without a special use permit.
that's different from what your motion was. You
No,
wanted
it's
the
referred to code
CEO
enforcement.
right, to come up with
No,
the
there's a
plan.
violations is the issue. If they have sheep there. and
As
don't
in
have
they
a
should be
special use permit.
removed.
They should be
Right.
removed. Are we clear? Are we good?
I think so.
Roll call.
Madigan,
Aye.
Marston,
Aye.
Bainey,
Aye.
Tagati,
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Item number 3 is a special use permit application. It's the same thing. It's basically,
I'll make the same.
there's two
motion.
sites, there's 2 solar farms on this same site. So I'll entertain a motion that we to make the same motion.
So moved.
Second,
Motion by Tom Agati, second by Mike
Madigan.
Madigan. Any further discussion on this? Roll call.
Tagati,
Aye.
Madigan,
aye,
Bainey,
Aye.
Marston,
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. From the planning board, item number 1 is Thermo Fisher Scientific 3175 Staley Road site plan approval to install new storage tanks. There are 2, they're proposing 2 water tanks in the mechanical yard, which can't be exposed to weather. Structure will be matching the existing roof height. The height has to jump up 44 feet because of the tanks. The 40 foot is shown on the plan. So it's basically a 4-foot difference. It was moved, recommended by Duchère and Starzinski to recommend approval of the site plan with a maximum height of 44 feet. So I'll entertain a motion to
So moved.
approve.
Before you do.
And
that.
there's one other thing with respect to this, with respect to seeker, because it's basically removal and redoing the same type of tanks. It's a type 2 action under seeker and is exempt from seeker review.
So why
So
don't we
moved.
do anything?
So recommend approval.
Second.
Motion by Tom Agati, second by Jen Baney. Any further
discussion, I am an employee, so I am recusing myself.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call.
Tagati,
Aye.
Bainey,
Aye.
Madigan,
Recuse.
Marston,
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Item number 2 from Gerald Soto of 2037 Staley Road. An incentive zoning parcel request. In their packet, you have the information from the planning board.
Do we need,
And,
yeah.
right.
Do we need to
and
suspend the
so-
rules to make that motion or
No, it's already on the agenda.
It's on the
so
agenda.
the
So we're
appropriate
just
action-
to set a public hearing now.
October 4th?
So October 4th at 8:00 PM, set a public hearing for this.
So moved.
Motion by Tom Agati,
Second.
second by Jen Baney. Any further discussion?
This is the Thermo Fisher thing, right?
No,
No.
this is
Sorry.
Gerald Soto.
Jerry Soto.
Thank you.
The,
Yep, got it.
okay, roll call.
Tagati,
Aye.
Bainey,
Aye.
Madigan,
Aye.
Marston,
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Okay. So from the planning board, let's see, we have proposed mixed-use development at 1815 Love Road, site plan approval. There's a memo from Bob Westfall. I don't know if everybody had it in their pocket, but he's asking for us to declare the intent for lead agency, circulate for coordinated review, and refer the project to Erie County Planning and refer to the town board.
So moved.
Motion by
Tagati.
Chagati, second
Second.
by Marston. Any further discussion?
No.
Roll call.
Tagati,
Aye.
Marston,
Aye.
Madigan,
Aye.
Bainey,
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Also from the planning board is the Long Road Distribution Facility, 2780 Long Road, the draft scoping document. We have correspondence from town attorney and set a public hearing. So we'll set a public hearing for October
October
4th, 8 o'clock PM.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by, who made the motion?
Mike
Mike
Madigan, Baney.
second by Baney or DeGatti, whoever came first.
Baney.
Baney. Roll call.
Madigan,
Aye.
Baney,
Aye.
Marston,
Aye.
DeGatti,
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Report of the audit committee, Jen.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the following amounts from the following accounts. From the general fund, $28,290.13. Highway fund, $4,459.22. Sewer fund, $26,408.78. Water fund, $15,758.70. Trust and agency fund, $146. Capital fund, $31,085.71. Grand total, $106,148.54.
Second.
Motion by Jen Baney, second by Tom DeGatti. On the question. Roll call.
Baney,
Aye.
DeGatti,
Aye.
Madigan,
Aye.
Marston,
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye.
There's an item in there this month.
Unfinished
okay.
business.
Cool.
Something else that witch
Yeah.
hunt.
Local law intro number 8. Amend chapter 145 of the town code, the right to farm law. We have correspondence from the planning board that was submitted and seeker. Is this remaining on the table, Mike?
Yes.
So we don't need any action.
We're still waiting for the county referrals. I
Right.
think.
The second one is a special use permit renewal from Patricia No File Cowo Young at 2332 Stony Point Road, keeping of up to 1 agricultural animal and 8 chickens. There's a memo from Rhonda Tolner, our zoning clerk, that the application has been changed as follows, box checked. When the code enforcement officer went to the site for the annual inspection, no violations were found, but the officer was informed that the homeowner filed a change to special use permit to house 20 chickens, opposed to the 8 she was approved for, and the renewal was tabled by the town board. The applicant has since withdrawn her request for 20 chickens and would like to keep her original special use permit for 1 agricultural animal and 8 chickens. Please accept this memo as a request for a special use permit renewal of 1 agricultural animal and 8 chickens at 2332 Stony Point Road. Entertain a motion to approve the renewal of the special use permit.
So moved.
Motion by Mike Madigan,
Second.
second by Tom DeGatti.
Peter, any issues doing that? Just verbally without, I mean, the application she filed had 12 or had 20. We good just saying for 8?
As long as everybody's in agreement with it.
It's just a renewal of the existing, so it doesn't
Right.
give her permission to have more than 8
That's
in
right.
one.
Right, that's what I mean. But the application she submitted still put 20 and she did it as a renewal, not as a new one. So
She's
as long as-
modified that.
Well,
Yeah, no, it's okay.
verbally. That
Well,
was my
they-
question.
Well, they changed, they checked the box.
Yeah, and what's
Changed as
authorized by the
follows.
board will control.
All right.
Okay.
So this is just a renewal.
Mhm.
And we're stating that it's only 1 agricultural animal and 8 chickens, so
Mhm.
we can't violate that. Roll call.
Madigan,
Aye.
DeGatti,
All right.
Baney,
Aye.
Marston,
Aye.
Whitney.
Aye. Item number 3 on unfinished business was a special use permit renewal for Grand Island Solar LLC 2411 Bedell Road Community Solar Array Project.
Remains on the table.
That remains on the table. Okay.
That's really lingering. We gotta do something about that
Well, we
one.
just referred it to code enforcement. I mean, that's the one, not
This is.
That's the one that.
2411.
Oh, this is 2411.
Theirs was up for renewal too, and we didn't approve it.
Right. That brings us to the portion of the meeting for public comments on anything that anyone would like to address the board regarding.
Promise I'll be quick. I just have a few questions. First of all, I'm interested in why at the Nike base, all the hiking paths are blocked off. They've been blocked off all summer. Just a sign saying maintenance and you can't get in there. And I was
I know
wondering
there
why
was a
that
bridge
was.
construction project
A what?
over 6 Mile Creek, which I believe is now completed though.
It's done.
It's still, yesterday it was still blocked off. I know that you're planning on meeting with Mr. Mistretta, or has the board already met?
No, we have not. We have to schedule that.
Okay, we're
It's-
wondering
I
if
sent myself an email today as I was leaving work to schedule that meeting.
it'd be exclusive to the board, or could board members from West River homeowners possibly?
I
attend?
believe we're going to have June
Okay.
attend as
June
well.
and a couple people she designates probably.
Yeah, yeah, not me. And just one other thing, oh, jeez. I suppose it can wait. I can't figure out what I was gonna say here. All right. I know you
Okay,
wanna go
thank
ahead.
you.
Rose, if I could answer your question, if you don't mind.
What?
As far as the Nike base trail saying trail closed.
Yes.
So the trail's been moved. It actually originates now right next to the old Soapbox Derby Hill. And then it splits right turn to West River, left turn goes back around the hill and goes all the way back through where you're thinking.
Okay,
They-
so
they-
at the mountain, you turn right, then you go left and go back?
Well,
there?
you'll follow it in and you can go right to West River. You can go left to where you're thinking it'll go. And now there's a bridge across this big 6 Creek.
Yeah, we saw that. yeah.
That's closed now. They've left that there for maintenance reasons, but we've basically routed the trail around the golf course so that it won't disrupt.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak?
Just on the auditing issue that was discussed. I'm a certified anti-money laundering specialist for an international bank. I conducted a regulatory controls review as in response to deferred prosecution agreement and consent order for that bank. I am 1,000% on board with what Mike has explained here, just as a taxpayer in regards to controls as it relates to something as precious as my tax dollars. And knowing that cash was going into a personal account blows my mind. I did not know anything about this till tonight, and I appreciate the need for an RFP to go through a proper process. I absolutely respect that. And I hope that the controls are straightened out as a result of that uncovering of information and an appropriate auditor selected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to address the board with respect to any matter? For a third and final time. Declare that portion of the meeting closed from the board. Mike Madigan.
There's been a lot of focus on one particular individual that was apparently killed recently over the weekend. They found the body. I think it's regrettable. I'm just making a public statement. I think it's regrettable that that happened. And in the same weekend, 56 people were shot, 8 people were killed, and there's no focus on what's happening in our inner cities. And I see a very big disparity there. And I don't know why this one person trumps the others. We need to fix what's happening. There's a war that's going on in our inner city. And we need everybody just to say, this is out of control. This has got to stop. I mean, there's more people dying in one city than in any foreign wars that have happened over the last 3-4 years. And it's really shocking to me to see how the mainstream media claims to be inclusive while just focusing on certain things and certain individuals and totally ignoring things that just is hard to explain to me. So with that, thanks.
Pete Marston.
I just want to thank the students for staying. We haven't seen you in a while. Unfortunately, you picked a meeting that was going to be a little long in the tooth. So thanks for hanging with it. Good to see you. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to keep you here any longer. You've been up enough.
Jen,
Out of, you can't, we're almost done.
we're almost done, guys. Hang on.
Out
please.
of respect for you guys, no comment.
If you really want to be cruel to your classmates, tell them to come to the 10-4 meeting, because based on what happened, like that one might be just as long.
Longer.
What was it?
All
That'll be
right.
up to your teacher. But that's all I've got. Thanks, guys. Sorry we kept you so
All right.
long.
Still, John.
I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. A motion is in order to adjourn tonight's meeting at 10:18 PM.
So moved.
Motion by Tom Degatti. Second
Second.
by Mike Madigan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Please rise. Tonight we'll observe a moment of silence in memory of Joseph Sheehan and Robert Schmidt. We're adjourned.
We can sign your
Come on
papers
up, let's sign
now.
your papers.